Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds in 3 years. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, make sure you click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays where I go live around 4 p.m. Central Time on YouTube, or outside of my live stream, you could consider joining the Discord I've created. There is a link for that down in the description below. Also, down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. A lot of times people ask me, what food am I eating to lose weight? And the best way, or the best place to see that is to get some ideas of that, is on my Pinterest board, which is down in the description below. Today is day 776 of my 3-year challenge to lose 300 pounds. I use a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 235 pounds so far. I have about 10 and a half months left to go on my challenge. I'm very excited about reaching my goals and living the rest of my life at a healthy weight. If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I'd love to hear your non-scale victories. If you have any on-scale victories, I'd love to hear those as well. If you're struggling with your diet, what's causing your struggles? If you're succeeding, what are you doing to succeed? And at the end of the day, what are some things that you are going to do that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the main, and then I'm going to have to remove the picture. So give me a second here. Main. There we go. I am here. I hope everybody had a wonderful evening. Few people checking in here. Rick and Cindy, good afternoon. Rick, you've been there for a minute, or you were on there for a minute. I think as soon as I put up that I was doing a video, you were on the comment section there. Pretty Girl's Mom, Carrie Plants Only Muncher says, hello, I hope everyone is having a good whole food plant-based vegan day. Yes, every day is a good whole food plant-based day every day is a good day if you're eating whole food plant-based vegan. There you go. That's what I meant to say. Janet's checking in, saying great loss this week. Thank you, Janet. I hope you're recovering from your stay at the True North Clinic and everything is going well for you as well. Tennis and Yoga Girl, hello. I hope you guys all had a good evening. I had a really good evening, and I had kind of a interesting non-scale victory. Wasn't really, I don't know if it's really even a non-scale victory, but I just thought it was an interesting conversation that I had last night. I was talking to a couple friends, and one of my friends was lamenting the fact that they had went and had McDonald's. They were trying to eat healthier and they had a bad day, so they went and ate McDonald's. And another person had made the comment about, yeah, it's probably been a week or two since I had McDonald's. And I kind of chuckled and I said, yeah, it's been 775 days since I've had McDonald's. And I thought that was an interesting kind of like, and they're like, holy cow, because they don't really know. I talked to them online. It's somebody I've played video games with, so they don't really see me or know what I look like, but they were surprised, and they congratulated me on being avoiding McDonald's for 775 days, which I think is kind of a non-scale victory for me. The idea that I have not been to a McDonald's in over 2 years is really crazy, and there's other fast food restaurants that I can say the same thing about. So, Janet here says you're back to normal. So, you're busy back at home. That's great. So yeah, it was a cool non-scale victory, or just kind of a weird, like, it popped into my head to kind of brag a little. I get to brag a little bit about myself, and it wasn't even necessarily that I lost weight. I didn't even mention the weight loss or how much weight I've lost in not eating McDonald's in 775 days. But it was kind of a nice kind of realization that that's where I'm at, and I have no interest in going to McDonald's anytime in the future. Um, I had a busy day at work today, and I was thinking about the conversation that I had yesterday and discussing about taking the path less traveled and about how we do different things. We try a certain diet, and then when it doesn't work, we give up on it, and just how a bunch of different things. And I didn't get a chance to really kind of put everything on. I drew things out on my paper here. I'll show you my paper. Will it come up? I drew graphs. So there you go. And in a mountain range. So, but what I was looking at was a couple of the different graphs I made. One of them was my weight loss over time, and it was comparing kind of what has happened for me in the past, and then comparing it to what has happened to me this time. And I look at the one diet that I did in 2013. I was taking a prescription to help with my appetite, but that was the longest I was ever really able to commit or stick to any way of eating, even if it was propped up by medicine. It was that I was able to do that for about 10 months. And so during the 10 months, my weight loss was very steep and very, it was what I was wanting to do. I was having a great amount of weight loss in a short amount of time. And then at about the 10-month mark, when I stopped taking the phentermine, but this also happened when I was working out in the past. I was doing great working out, but then when I quit working out, I wasn't losing as much weight. And then it went in the opposite direction, and sometimes it feels like I gained weight faster than I lost weight in the past in some occasions. But the graph that it makes kind of goes from, as time goes on, the weight loss is good, but then it drops back down, and with this diet and the things that I did, that first 10-month period was kind of similar to that previous diet. I had wonderful success. Things were going great. And then at the 10-month mark here, when things got a little bit tougher, I ended up maintaining my weight loss for a year and not regaining the weight back. And so that's something that this diet, at that same kind of mark, when faced with that same, faced with the difficulty of continuing on, I was able to maintain my weight loss. And then now a year later, or at the end of the second year, I'm starting to see that weight loss start to happen again, or, the scale's going in the direction that I want. And one of the things that I realized was that correlation with the diet failing, after 10 months, is that the difficulty increases to a point where it's not manageable anymore. And so with a lot of the diets, when I started them, like doing the phentermine or doing a keto diet, the start of the diet is very easy, and the path looks very easy, because what you can see is at a very low gradient. You're not changing your diet a whole lot. You're just eating less of the foods that you love to eat. And it doesn't appear to be a difficult task when you start. But then you get going down that path for 2 weeks or a month, and then that's when the difficulty begins on those types of diets. It's easy to start those diets. It's not easy to convince yourself to start, but once you get started, most of the time we pick an easier diet. We pick a diet that looks easier, that we think we can do, because if it's a difficult diet, then we won't be able to do it, because we don't have confidence in ourselves, or we don't have belief in ourselves that we could do a difficult diet. And I think what we have to realize is that day one of your diet is not the most difficult day of your diet. It's day 350, it's day 600. Those days are just as difficult as the first day on this type of diet. And when you try to take that easy path, you're just avoiding that pain. It's that motivational triad: the seek pleasure, the avoid pain, and the conserve energy. You're trying to conserve energy, you're trying to seek the pleasure of weight loss, and avoid any pain in doing that. And when we sorry, I lost track of my thinking here. The that stress that we're trying to do the easiest thing because we think that that's in our best interest. And in kind of doing this and making these graphs and kind of what I was wanting to talk about, it really took me back to listening to the Wim Hof book, which doesn't have anything to do with diet. If you know anything about Wim Hof, he focuses a lot on like meditation and mindset, and he does a lot of cold therapy. He recommends taking cold showers, doing cold plunges. And one of the functions of doing that, like doing the cold water submersion, is that it puts your brain in this highly stressed scenario. And when you get into a cold tub, it is a controlled scenario. So you're controlling this stressful situation. But by putting yourself in that stressful situation, you then have to manage yourself there and get through it. And so what that cold therapy does is that it allows you to kind of experience that, a little bit of that fight or flight kind of instinct that we have in us. But by doing that, it makes you more comfortable. It's like the first time you go to do something, say it's the first time you're going to play a sport, or the first time you're trying to build a craft, or the first time you're going to build a gingerbread house. You're very nervous about how you're going to do it, how it's going to turn out, if it's going to turn out right. And you start building that structure and you get it done and it looks okay. It looks fine, but you did it. But then the following year, if you go to build that gingerbread house or do that craft again, you are better prepared because you have that previous experience. And with this diet, I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you are trying to make it easy from the beginning, when it gets difficult, you're not going to know what to do, because the diet wasn't supposed to be difficult. It was easy all this time. Why did it all of a sudden get difficult? And with eating a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet, from day one, we got rid of all comfortability with food. We didn't know how to cook a lot of the foods that we're cooking right now. We didn't know any of the recipes that we eat right now. There's not any food or recipe that I eat right now that is the same or really even similar to what I used to eat. And so from day one, we had to deal with this uncomfortability and this difficulty. And day two was that same uncomfortable and difficult. But then by day 30, the diet starts to get easier. So instead of starting with an easy diet that gets more difficult throughout time, we started with a difficult diet that gets easier over time. And that is something I feel like people are missing so much, because they're trying to take the easy route or the easiest path. And they see other people have this short-term success, but where's the sustainability? Where are the people that are sustaining lifelong, or or any huge weight loss, you know. Janet here is responding to Christy had asked, you know, it said, I bet you're glad to be home. Janet says, it is really good to be home. You were on the move since August. And it's great to see me and Carrie doing well. I appreciate that. Yes, we are doing great right now. And we've been very dedicated to the diet. And I think that we're seeing the benefits from that. I also think that kind of cutting out some late night eating has helped me as well. And hopefully, you know, after today, things at work will be less stressful than they have been. So hopefully I can reduce my stress level as well. And that will make things go even better in the direction that I want. But you know, with this diet, I know that it seems like it's easy to do these low calorie diets or these diets where you get to eat the food you love to eat, you just eat less of it, but they're not sustainable. Over time, your body is going to be difficult or it's going to get difficult. And, you know, the thing is if you have to climb a mountain and that mountain is 2,000 feet tall, if you know, if you take the easy path that is only at a 1% grade, at a certain point that you're going to have to get on a steeper path to get to the top of the mountain. You know, if you start off at a 10% grade, and I don't even know if that's a heavy grade or I'm just making things up, but if you start off at a 10% grade, then you're actually making ground at the beginning instead of just riding out the easy part of the diet. And that's where people are, you know, you trick yourself by thinking that you're well, you're taking the easiest way possible, because that's what what's our minds are designed to do, is to do the easiest thing possible. And eventually I'll get all this stuff like actually onto some sort of graph so that I can show you what I'm talking about, because I think that it's important to realize that we get stuck in that loop of doing the easy path and then it failing, and then doing the easy path and then it failing, and never really doing the hard work, but also being scared of doing any harder work because you keep doing the easy way and it fails. So, you know, if I do it the tougher way, then there's no way I'll be able to succeed because I wasn't strong enough to succeed the other way. And, you know, I think that there's so much more about how our brains are wired than we're used to, and that we don't give ourselves enough credit for the fact that we live in a world of excess. That would be something that, you know, it's so hard to avoid being in a world of excess. And the way our minds work, it's going to go, you know, it's going to push us to eat the most calorie dense foods that we can find, because our ancestors did not have the benefit of having hot pockets at the grocery store. You know, the number of calories that I was able to consume in a single day is probably more than some of my ancestors had in a week's time or even a month's time, depending on the scenario they got themselves put into. You know, if you are, you know, but they did not have access to calories ad libitum like we have now. And the to succeed with this diet, you're going to have to go through the struggle at some point. Why not go through the struggle at the beginning when you expect it to be the biggest struggle, instead of doing the easy way for the beginning, and then when it gets tough, turning around and going back. Cindy here says that over time you find yourself wanting comfort foods like stews and chilies and have to force yourself to eat salads to get your green ins. Are you alone in this? No, I think that our bodies are constantly trying to get us to eat the most calorie dense foods possible. And when it comes to cravings or like you wanting comfort foods, I think our minds are pretty adept at convincing our bodies to do things. And when you are in a position where you keep craving a certain food, I think it's just natural. I don't think that there's much of a way to avoid that. Well, the best you can do is try to point that craving in a positive direction. And I tried to explain this earlier, and I don't know if I can figure out how to explain it best. But when you're hungry, your mind thinks of the biggest dopamine response foods that it can convince you to go eat. And most of the time it knows that even if it suggests this processed junk food, you're going to go to the health option, especially if you're trying to lose weight or if that's your motivation, that you're going to the health option. But it knows that if it keeps sending that signal, that eventually you may slip up and you may eat it. And I also think your mind, it may not go to the most extreme thing. It may go to whatever is just right next to your diet. And so with us on this diet, it would be something like craving, like a vegan pizza is something that I would crave, but it is, my mind doesn't. So for the whole second year, I craved vegan pizza a lot, but now I don't crave vegan pizza because my mind knows I'm not going to make that concession, and I'm not going to, but now it says, hey, why don't you have some cashew, or, you could probably try eating avocado again in your diet, or let's go get some Ezekiel bread like you used to eat. Like those things kind of my brain thinks of and pushes me towards those cravings because it knows it might be able to convince me to eat that, even though I know I shouldn't eat it. And so, but yes, and I think the other part of it too is that, for me, I feel like I get cravings when I'm underfed. And if I am full of veggies, if you're running into where you want those comfort foods like the stews and the chilies, the best thing you can do is to force yourself to eat some of that, because it is that you're hungry, I guess is what I'm saying. Like when you think, hey, I should go have a soda, you're just thirsty. Your body's just saying, hey, that's the highest dopamine responsive food we can give ourselves that satisfies our thirst. So, and I think Chef AJ said it on there was the Truth About Weight Loss video yesterday about if you're truly hungry, then vegetables will always be something you're willing to eat. If you're not willing to eat a vegetable, then are you really that hungry? And so Carrie here says she has a mom's night potluck tomorrow, and all her friends were working on planning vegan friendly dishes that you knew you would try out of politeness. So you had to be super frank and let them know about being salt, oil, sugar free, and that you would bring your own foods. And they were also supportive. And then Carrie says that we also struggle with greens too. That's part of the reason we add spinach to our oats and we eat broccoli with the potatoes at lunch. There is a little less pressure at dinner time, so that there is a little less pressure at dinner time. Yes, we have spinach first thing in the morning. Yesterday Carrie even kind of pushed me to throw broccoli in the meal. I was just going to eat potatoes, and she was like, we should bulk it up with some broccoli. So I did. But yeah, with the friends that going out, like it's great that they're trying to accommodate your needs, but at the same time, if they aren't going to go as far as being salt, oil, sugar free, which we really can't ask anybody to do for us, then the um, then it's just best to be frank and just kind of be like, it because the option is that they make this vegan food to fit our diet that doesn't fit our diet, and then you feel guilty not eating it, and then you might get to expose some people to vegan food that wouldn't have been exposed to it, and maybe it changes their mind. But maybe a better scenario is that they make food that has animal products in it, and then that is like 100% off the table. Like that's been, a line that we've drawn in the sand since we started this, is that we've had no animal products in our diet. And even when we've struggled with it, I have had no temptation to add animal products into my diet. And so that would be something that your mind, or my mind wouldn't convince me to eat, even if it looked amazing. But if somebody had taken the time to make a vegan version of a dish, it is hard to turn it down. And I kind of had that, even over the holidays. My in-laws had made a meal that the beans had salt in the beans, and it's like, how much do you worry about that? And if you wash them, does it get rid of a lot of the salt? Things like that. But yeah, Carrie says great ideas. Yeah, and we just add, and spinach is easy to add to food, like there's lots of recipes that never called for spinach that we just throw it in there and it cooks down real well. So yeah, just a lot more of talking about, taking, being willing to take a more difficult path at the beginning and being satisfied. One of the comments I made yesterday that I kind of wanted to expand on is that, when you're faced with that difficult hill to climb, or, that after you climb that difficult hill, when you get to the top, you're so excited that you did it and you overcame an obstacle you didn't think you could overcome, that you almost run back down and go up the hill again, or you can't wait to go up the next hill that looks just as difficult. And I get a little bit of that with this diet. I can't wait. I got up the first hill I did, was 333 days of staying compliant, and my next goal is to get up a bigger hill of compliance and to be even more dedicated to the diet. I think that over time, this diet gets easier, and many other diets are not that way. Many other diets get more difficult over time, but this is definitely a diet worth trying. If you've done every other diet and said, I've done everything and I can't lose weight, well, prove to me that you've done a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet for 3 weeks and it didn't work for you, and then we'll go on. But and there may be parts of it you can't, everybody has a little bit of a different biology, but I think that this is as close to eating like our ancestors would have. The only difference is that we get plenty of variety. Like that's something that we would not have had variety. Like that's a whole different animal. But anyways, I am going to get out of here for the weekend. I appreciate you guys so much for supporting me and following along on my channel. I would not be 776 days into this without you guys there to support me and push me along and give us great ideas and different things. Carrie says tonight she's making an eggplant tomato dish tonight and planning on adding a few handfuls of spinach. You just feel like if it's a wet dish, spinach is an easy addition. Yeah. And fill up those plates with vegetables, guys. It makes a difference. I mentioned I listened to the Chef AJ video yesterday. She really was pushing the calorie density and the, how nice how you can take a meal, even if the main part of your meal has got a higher calorie density. If you just add a bunch, half a plate of broccoli to it, you can reduce the overall density of the whole meal. And then, yeah, see. So yeah, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys very much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, get subscribed to the channel. If you haven't clicked on the bell icon down below, make sure you click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you've not hit the thumbs up on this video and commented down below, I need you to do that as well. I would appreciate it. And if you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing coming up that's more important than your health and your overall well-being. You need to make big changes in your life if you want to see big changes. And you have to be willing to take that difficult path and ride it out and get started now, though, because there's nobody that gets to their goals, looks back and wishes they would have waited. And I'm included. I absolutely wish I would have started this sooner. I wish I would have learned about this years ago, if not decades ago. I'd be in such a better spot. And, it would be awesome. But anyways, I will talk to you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend.